Have you ever felt like there's gotta be more to exploitation than just a bad paycheck? Well, today, we're diving into a source that says exactly that. It argues the economic problems we see are really just the tip of the iceberg of a much bigger, much deeper threefold issue. Right, so when we hear the word exploitation, our minds immediately go to money and labor, don't they? But what if the most powerful chains holding us back are the ones we can't even see? This source really challenges us to look beyond what's obvious. And here it is, the core concept, threefold exploitation. The idea is that capitalism's grip isn't just on our bank accounts. It's actually this multi-layered system that targets us on a physical level, an intellectual level, and yeah, even a spiritual level. Okay, so let's start with layer one, the one we all know pretty well, physical capitalism. This is the stuff we can see, the exploitation that hits our wallets and shapes the world around us. The source defines this first layer as basically a huge bottleneck of wealth. I want you to imagine a powerful river of economic energy. Well, this system builds a dam, and only a tiny little trickle gets through to the general population. It's this hoarding of resources, this stagnation, that the source says really wakens the entire social fabric. What's really fascinating here is that physical capitalism is like a chameleon. It's not static. It has changed its shape over and over again throughout history. From feudal lords to colonial empires, all the way to the giant multinational corporations we see today, it's always finding new ways to keep that economic power concentrated. All right, now we're going to shift gears. We're moving from the physical world to the battlefield of the mind. This is layer two, all about intellectual control. Now, this is a crucial distinction the source makes. It splits mental control into two types. On one hand, you have intellectual capitalism, which is more passive. It's when educated people just fail to use what they know for the good of everyone. But then you have something much darker, psychoeconomic exploitation. And that is an active, deliberate strategy to weaken a society's collective mind. And you can see the results of that intellectual hoarding right here. When knowledge isn't shared, it creates a vacuum. And what fills that vacuum? Ignorance, fear, irrationality. The source warns that this kind of intellectual decay makes a society totally vulnerable to even more aggressive manipulation. And this is the toolkit for that active intellectual warfare. I mean, look at this list. It's pretty chilling. The source details these tactics, from crushing local cultures and weaponizing the media to basically engineering a population that's just easier to control. We've now reached the deepest and maybe the most surprising layer of exploitation. This is where the fight moves beyond our bodies and our minds and goes right to the core of who we are, the spiritual realm. This is a really radical idea. The source actually coins this term, spiritual capitalism, to talk about a kind of spiritual selfishness. It's the idea of chasing enlightenment like it's a personal trophy, hoarding spiritual wisdom for yourself instead of using it to lift up everyone around you. But as a powerful counterpoint, the source brings up this ancient principle, and it's such a profound reminder that real spiritual growth is not about escaping the world. It's about deep engagement with the world. Self-realization and serving humanity aren't two separate paths. They're two sides of the exact same coin. So, after laying out this incredibly complex web of exploitation, where do we go from here? The good news is, the source doesn't just diagnose the problem, it also points toward a path to liberation. In that journey to freedom, it starts with the intellect. The source lays out this clear, three-step plan for anyone with knowledge. First, you have to purify your own mind of bias. Second, you have to connect with and serve the people directly. And third, you have to throw all of your support behind the fight against every form of exploitation. But ultimately, what this all points to is a call for a totally new kind of leadership. We need leaders who aren't just smart, but who are also guided by a really strong moral compass and a deep spiritual purpose. We need visionaries who can guide us toward a future where everyone, not just a few, can truly thrive. So we want to leave you with this final, powerful question. After going through these three layers of exploitation, we have to ask ourselves, what if the biggest revolutions aren't the ones fought in the streets, but the ones that happen inside our own minds? Maybe true liberation really begins the moment we finally see and then shatter those invisible chains on our minds and on our spirits. Thanks for joining us today.